Hello, Lynch Blasters, Reed here, and welcome back to some more Destiny 2. Now, today is going to be a simple, quick video about my review, my thoughts, and my concerns over the first episode of Destiny 2, being none other than the one and the only Echoes. This lovely thing right here. You know, the first episode ever to appear in Destiny history, which has left an odd taste in my mouth, to say the least. It's definitely been an interesting episode, to say the least. So let's start off by saying right here, right now, essentially what happened this episode was after the events of the Witness's death in the final shape. Fabulous DLC, by the way. I don't think I could ever make a review over Final Shape because I don't have anything complaintive to say about it. I don't have any constructive criticism because honestly, the more I keep looking back at the Final Shape, the more I keep saying it's amazing. I can't find criticism about it. And every time when someone states some form of criticism towards it, I kind of sit there and say, no, it doesn't do that. It doesn't do that. Oh, I don't know. The final boss was kind of stupid. What do you mean the final boss was kind of stupid? It had technically 3 final bosses. Which one are you referencing? The Witness, the Witness, or the Witness? It didn't have any endgame content. It gave you multiple exotic quests. Sure, one of which was kind of tied into the main story mode, but it was still endgame content that took time out of your life before you had to progress forward within the main story mode, which introduced you to other exotic quests, like Micah, like the public events, like the entire environment of the Final Shapes area, which is the Pale Heart, that I keep forgetting it. I just keep calling it the Traveler. Yeah. But yeah. A part of me deep down wants to make a Final Shape review, but I can't. But the ending of Final Shape has led us off into these series of future DLCs that are going to keep expanding upon the lore of Destiny 2 without making it feel like we're building up to some majorly new expansion. Because let's face it, I don't think Bungie's ever going to admit, but I know everyone's going to admit, after 10 years of Destiny, the people that are still staying, they're not going to stay for another 10 years. They're going to stay for maybe a year or two before they officially dip. They're going to stay for maybe another main story, maybe not some more seasonal content, and then they're going to leave. They want to see this world continue because they love this world. They're going to come back because they've spent so much time into it, but they're not going to be as invested as they were. People have retired. The 10-year saga is over, and because of that, people are done. People are done with the game. Not in a bad way, they just need to take some time from it. Which leads us to the first DLC after the end of a 10-year saga, and the beginning introduction to a new saga that Bungie keeps going on about. And that first DLC is their first ever episode called Echoes. With the death of the Witness from the Final Shape DLC, multiple, almost meteorite comets burst away from the Pale Heart, finding themselves in different locations amongst the universe. So far, the first one we found shot its way into the core of Nessus, changing things permanently, making the Vex act strange, causing the whole planet to shift, change, and have earthquakes, causing lots of damage and lots of interesting actions to occur, like a face for the Vex, which is the first time we've ever had that. We've never once had the Vex ever unify to a specific leader. Not once have we ever had a very specific leader that we said, hey, that guy's controlling the Vex. Sure, we've had similar situations like the Undying Mind, and no, that's really about it. Maybe Atheon. Definitely not the that one Vex Mind from the Garden of Salvation raid. I wouldn't say he was a leader. I think he was just a big guy. Big little boss dude. But yeah, so for the first time in what we feel is this entirety of Destiny 2 history, we finally get a guaranteed person that acts as the general, the captain, the leader of the Vex, trying to unify and control everything to their whim to obtain their goal. At first, it just seemed to be the Vex were acting weird. Then we find out that there's this new person called the Conductor. The Conductor slowly controls the Vex, making their corruption go throughout the Vex internet system, the Wi-Fi system, the router. They're taking up the router space. Of course they are. Then in Act 2, we slowly realize that they're trying to push their grasp over things, over everything. They're slowly controlling the Cabal. They're slowly controlling the Fallen in the environment. They're slowly controlling the environment, growing plants that weren't here before, taking over the environment, changing and shifting things, moving everything in all the radial area to the core of the planet. So we go down to the core to find none other than, dun dun dun, the Conductor, who turns out to be Maya Sundaresh. And the one thing that I really gotta say that I love about when they introduced the characters Maya Sundaresh, she has been involved in the lore of the story before. And I absolutely love the fact that they pulled a character from the lore of the story. But not only did they bring out someone from the lore of the story, they also completely explained who they were. They didn't rely off the character's knowledge. They didn't rely off the person having to dig up old grimoire lore books or My Name is Bife lore videos or anything like that. They literally explained who Maya Sundaresh was. The instant we see the Conductor, some of us were like, oh my god, it's you! And half the community was, yeah! Who the fuck is this lady? And immediately upon being shown this recognizable and also completely forgettable face, we were immediately told, hey, that's Maya Sundaresh. She was one of the founding fathers of Neoma, what's this city called? Neomuna? That's right, Neomuna. She was one of the founding fathers, one of the founding people who created the city, Neomuna, on Neptune. We immediately learned this. We immediately fucking learned this, and I love that. It was handled so perfectly. We got told it on the side, and we got told it directly face-to-face via Saint 14. And speaking of Saint 14, I absolutely love the fact that we got more character dialogue, more character development from multitudes of side characters. Saint, Osiris, even Failsafe, a wonderful character that they brought back and revamped just for this episode. I absolutely love it, because it finally taught us multiple lessons. For Failsafe, she could finally live on with her life without needing to rely off of someone else to live her life with her. A great example was originally her captain, her crew, the Guardian, or even Cade for that matter. Because the sad thing is the last time we even talked to Failsafe was sadly Forsaken. Canonically, the last time our Guardian ever spoke with Failsafe was Forsaken when Cade died. That was it. Which is really fucking sad. And then for Osiris, it was the dealings of the fact that he felt uncomfortable that Saint was trying to find some deeper meaning and truth to his existence, because Saint was a literal paradox. Saint was a simulation that we pulled out of the Infinite Forest because he was one of the millions of simulations in the Infinite Forest that was consistently being run through scans and simulations and everything, blah, blah, blah. Osiris couldn't find a perfect enough Saint because the actual Saint 14 is dead. So the Conductor used these thoughts, these manipulations to get into Saint 14's mind and trick him into believing he was a miscalculation, an error within the world that he needed to be corrected because his existence should not be possible. His existence should not remain plausible, for that matter. And that the only way things can be made correctly is if he doesn't exist. And that is a horrifying factor, to be told you shouldn't exist. Why? Simple. Because you're not the same person. They took you from a simulation. Your simulation could be 99.9% accurate, but that 0.01%, that makes you different. That means that you're not the same person, and can you live with that? That you're not the same Saint 14 that these people claim to love. You're false. You're wrong. You're not good enough. Seeing the strongest Titan of all time go through these emotions and go through this character development. At first, I'll say it felt weird seeing the same guy who bashed the brains in of Fallen and Vex alike. It feels weird having been told he had a mental crisis. But at the same time, I kind of sit there and realize mental crises can happen to anyone. The strongest and the weakest of us at times. So I sat there and thought to myself, I feel that this happening to this character is weird, but I also welcome it because it fits so well with his character, and it fits so well with this character's origins and everything that has ever happened to him, that I actively sat there and said, but I don't see a problem with the logic. I feel that it is weird happening to him, but I don't see a problem with the logic, and it's beautiful. Osiris didn't want what happened to him happen to Saint. He didn't want Saint to be controlled against his own free will, just as Osiris was controlled by a Savathun in earlier seasons. And I absolutely love the fact that we got to see more of their relationship bloom and grow. I hate to say it, but I am a sappy motherfucker. I am a sappy motherfucker. I hate that about myself, but at the exact same time, I really fucking love relationship like shit. I hate it, but I love it, It's that part of you just can't get rid of no matter how much you kind of want to. It's weird like that. Also, can I just say a quick note? I like the fact that they did get to bring back Saint 14's tomb, the simulated tomb that we got to go to on Mercury. That was such a good callback. Oh my god, I lost my mind when I saw that thing. I hate to say it, but I actually kind of enjoyed Curse of Osiris. I know the rest of the world didn't, but holy fuck. I just going back to Saint 14's tomb was such a fucking blast from the past. It hit me, and I immediately sat there and was like, oh, this is going to be good. God damn it. But anyways, I digress. After the events of finding out in Act 2 that the conductor is Maya Sundaresh, we need to make a plan to stop her. And that's when we need to figure out what her main plan was. Her plan was that she was going to use the Radiolaria to convert everything to Vex, so that way she can recreate the Golden Age, literally from when the collapse took everything away from her, so that way she can recreate the Golden Age and put everything back to the way it was, as if nothing had ever happened. She literally wanted to change everything to revolve around the past, so that way she didn't have to cope with the events of what had happened, which was losing Chioma Essie, which was her girlfriend or wife. I'm not entirely sure of their relationship status. Losing her loved ones, losing friends, losing an entire planet. Everything. Everything from the darkness coming, to the destruction of many civilizations, to the near extinction of humanity itself, to the coming of light and the powers that became the Guardians. Everything. The entire history of Destiny as we know it. She wanted to revert all that just so that way she can go back to the past and be happy. And deep down, I understand that. And I like the fact that that's the development that they chose for this character. The only problem I really have with this is the fact that at the very end of Act 3, once we finally confront Maya Sundaresh, after we find out that she's been experimenting on other simulated Chioma Essies, after we find out that she's been murdering every single one that she finds just to find her perfect one, and then she did find her own Chioma Essie. She found her simulated Chioma Essie and still believed she was not perfect, that she was not the one that was made for her. After finding out about all that she potentially couldn't be saved, that she potentially was no longer Maya Sundaresh and she had to be taken down, what did we do? Simple. We found her, we stopped her. Ikora Rey, one of the most canonical, powerful Guardians, the most powerful Warlock in all of Destiny 2 history, lore, everything, gameplay, literally everything. She throws a Nova Bomb at Maya Sundaresh, and Maya Sundaresh is somehow alive, gets thrown into some milk puddle, and then just gets washed away. My problem is not the fact that she survived. My problem is the fact that she survived with the fucking relic. She survived with the very thing we were trying to take away from her. That is absolutely what pissed me off. That is the only thing that pissed me off about this entire season. The whole purpose of that was to get the Echo of Command away from her, so that way she could stop learning how to control the Cabal and control Guardians. The whole purpose of this was to stop her from gaining power, and we stopped her. Kind of. We literally just threw a wrench in her plans. That's all we did. She still has the ability to take over the world if she wanted to. Sure, she has to start back from square one and relocate all of the fucking Vex milk, the Radiolaria, back to the core of Nessus. But outside of that, that's literally it. That is literally it, and that is like the worst part about it. She still has the relic. She could still continue her work if she wanted to. She is still a threat. And for some insane reason, she just gets away. The most canonically powerful Guardian in Destiny 2 throws a Nova Bomb at her, and she's somehow perfectly fine and gets away with the device they were trying to take away from her. That is the only thing I have with the entire story of this fucking episode. That's it. Everything else, pretty okay. The weapons, the armor, the activities. Oh my god, the activities. Speaking of activities, I've just been kicked from one of these activities. That could not be a better timing. But yeah, that's really about it. We literally go from the events of everything's about to get destroyed. She has the power to control everything to, oh, she still has the power to control everything. She's just not in the picture anymore. Well, why is she not in the picture anymore? Oh, we don't know. She just ran away. Why? She had the ability to stop us. Well, given a little bit more time, she'll still have the ability to stop us. She'll just be better at stopping us at that point. God! I don't know what else to say. I really don't know what else to say. Everything about this season was great up until the ending, which sours the whole mood. But outside of that, the season, the episodes was still great, honestly. Was it the greatest? No. I don't want to say that. The Echo of Command was a great idea, and it was genuinely a cool concept that they still kept throwing at us every single time they wanted to show us, hey, she's getting stronger. Well, how do you do that? Simple. We're going to make you go through a mission, and then throughout that mission, we're going to do something different. We're going to make you go through a mission once. Things will be normal, things will be pretty easy. And then we're going to make you go through that same mission, and then we're going to add in different variables. First time you went through with Vex, this time it's going to have Vex and Cabal. Third time, it's going to have more Vex, more Cabal, more... my apologies, I had a burp. More Vex, more Cabal, more Danger. Which has led to a lot of me scratching my head saying, God dang, this is dangerous. Man, she's becoming a powerful threat of danger. A menace to society, if you may say. It's still just... After everything we went through, she's still very powerful and she's still very much a threat, and yet she's still out there, which, again, I don't mind. But she still has the thing that makes her a threat, which is what I mind. It just feels like a huge slap to the face. But I do appreciate the fact that after the events of completing Act 3, they still gave us the epilogue mission, which made us go around the exotic mission Encore and find hidden tears through slipspace and through the simulated areas of the VexNet, finding special universes where Chioma and Maya were together that the conductor had her hands on and didn't destroy. She had other universes that she knew she had to inspect the Chioma of that universe, and she didn't destroy them. Out of killing potentially hundreds of other Chiomas, she kept a few, which means that deep down, she still has feelings for Chioma, which means that even though she tried to suppress her emotions, suppress everything, to become the perfect conductor to weave together a perfect future, the next golden age of sorts, she still deep down misses her wife. Which is great, because it's character development that leads me to believe she's still a bad guy, but she's not a bad guy. More or less. Don't quote me on that. Quote me on that, if you will. But I digress. Overall, the story for this episode was great. Again, just that final piece just kind of left a bitter taste in my mouth. Outside of that, the fucking Vex samurai armor? Ooh, Nelly. I'll say this. The red and blue on the default armor, I have mixed feelings about. The armor itself is so fucking cool. Even the weapons for the season were amazing. A legendary... We essentially got... I wish I was joking, a legendary Wither Horde. We got an incredible hand cannon, an oddly fast rate of fire auto rifle and pulse rifle, a damn near horrifying scout that felt like it was a sniper rifle, and the sword, machine gun, and rocket launcher were all equally just good enough to the point that you could bring him into any somewhat high-level activity and be looked upon like, oh yeah, he's good, he knows what he's doing. Even if you didn't know what you were doing. It was amazing. I felt like I knew I felt like I knew everything, and I totally didn't. It was fabulous. And finally, the exotics for this season. Oh, Choir of One and Red Death Reformed. I'll say this. Red Death Reformed is potentially an exotic that did not need to return back to Destiny 2. Do I welcome it back with open arms? Yes. Did it need to come back? No. Is it a nice thing that it's back? Sure, why not? It's a fun exotic. The fact that they perked it up and changed it out a little bit is really nice. It just helps it out with the fact that Red Death Reformed is not going to be like Crimson, because we don't need a hand cannon version and a pulse rifle version of the same freaking gun. They need to be two different guns that do two different things. Even if they are similar to each other, that's fine, but they just can't be the same freaking thing, which is wonderful that they actually change it up a little bit. I'll say, for the Season Pass gun, it makes sense that it's the Season Pass gun. I honestly would not have liked doing a massively long exotic quest just to be told, hey, here's Red Death, and I would have been like, that's great. You do know I have Crimson, right? Why would you give me this? I have Crimson. Why the fuck would you give me this? God damn it, Bungie. But then there's the Choir of One. An exotic auto rifle that consistently makes me think to myself, is this the best gun in the game? No. Is it a damn good one to use when you're bored? Absolutely. This is a special auto rifle. Like, literally, it's a special ammo auto rifle. For some reason, this thing is basically an auto rifle shotgun. And it's amazing because it fires out Vex shots from the Minotaurs. I love it. We actually get a weapon where we get to use the same attack as the Vex. I was going to say as the main enemy race, but we also have Extris, which was the grenade launcher that allowed us to use, like, the Hive Boomer grenade. So, yeah, I guess that secondary statement's kind of just not true anymore. But still, this gun is an absolute blast, and I'm so happy I got to go through the Encore mission to acquire this weapon. And speaking of the Encore mission, which is the beautiful scenery that we got to see before I got rudely kicked out, let me just boop myself back in there real quickly. The Encore exotic mission is perhaps one of the few missions I genuinely enjoy doing. Did I genuinely enjoy doing it over and over and over again is a different, completely fucking rude statement for me to make. God. But yeah, exotics for this season were pretty fun. One of them was just a reprised gun that we could have missed out on, no harm, no foul, and another one was an absolute blast that I definitely enjoy using.
Guardian,
let's give ourselves a fabulous example of this. Skadoosh.
Deep in the core of Nessus.
From aiming down sights, I basically get this long-distance pulse rifle, or auto rifle, which works out so wonderfully because it's a multi-use gun, and I absolutely appreciate and enjoy it. From long distance, I get an incredible... Was that a Cabal ship? When the hell has that ever happened? Well, that's new. But the instant I say, fuck it, let's go in from close distance, all of a sudden I get a basic charged multi-shot gun. It really is a shotgun of an auto rifle. And I freaking love it. But above all else, the one thing that I want to say I love more than the gun itself is the quests to acquire the gun. And with that, I would like to lead us into the new conversation of the activities for this season. First things first, with Act 1, it actually brought us into the seasonal activity that honestly felt underwhelming, but kind of fun to replay after a period of time. That being... the activity I can't remember the name of. Arena Breach Executable. Arena Breach Executable was a 3-player game mode where you got to go in and basically play a game of Gambit. Except hilariously, this is the first game of Gambit where they basically said, hey, you have to collect to a maximum number. You can't just collect what you can and go back to the bank. That's essentially what Arena Executable was. Which at first was interesting, especially when they threw in a bunch of modifiers and buffs and debuffs like the Radiolaria waterfall that would spawn out of nowhere. That was fun. Especially when they also said, hey, depending on what modifiers you get and depending on what arena you go through, we can actually say, screw it, here's some artifacts from previous seasons. That genuinely made the activity a lot more fun, especially since it wasn't as interesting and kind of dull as normal. It was just basically free roam Gambit. Something I wasn't too... I don't even know what to say. Too close with, too interested in, too apparently good at. I'll admit, I was not good at that game mode. But the fact that they brought in previous artifacts like the Light Spear, the Elixni Fire Cannon that I can't remember the name of, and of course the Season of the Haunted Nightmare Scythe. Oh my god. Once they brought back that Nightmare Scythe, it was an absolute blast. I haven't had as much fun with the simplest seasonal activity in a while. All because they said, hey, here's previous seasonal activity. Let's have fun with it. And the dialogue from Failsafe just being absolutely bloodthirsty and murderous made it all the more enjoyable. And Act 2, oh my god, Bungie. Act 2 was lovely. The fact that you brought in 3 separate missions that are now a replayable playlist on their own is such a fabulous idea. I wish I was joking. I know a lot of people don't like the Battlegrounds, but fuck. Having 3 Battlegrounds that act as a continuous story from one to the next to the final? Oh, lovely idea. We have not had an idea like this ever. We've never once had I don't even know what to say. I don't even know what to call it. A continuous set of strikes that act as a story. Like, think about that. You have never, ever gone to a single location. Let's take Nessus for an example, and played every single strike, and they act as a continuous set of stories. We've never had something like that. This theme for Act 2 was fun. It was great, and it constantly made me happy to know that I will be able to go back and replay these missions anytime I want. And there's only 3 of them. And they were all so visually stunning and beautiful. They allowed the environment to change without a 50 gigabyte update actively changing Nessus permanently. Because for anyone who does not know, I personally, even though I loved Season of the Haunted, I personally dislike the fact that the Leviathan is a changed statement in the moon. It is a big change to the moon's environment, and no matter what you do, it will always be there. So for new players that come in and play the Shadowkeep campaign, you want to know what they're going to see? They're going to see a massive planet-eating device within orbit of the moon, just sitting right there. And the main DLC is not going to acknowledge it. The main story is not going to talk about it. The main story is not going to do anything about it. I find that to be absolute asinine. And I love the fact that this episode did not do that. Yes, it made changes to Nessus, but at the same time, Nessus is currently not part of any current story mode. So if they wanted to make permanent changes to Nessus, I'll let them. But if they wanted to make permanent changes each and every act, the game would become 500 gigabytes before we frickin' realized it. So the absolute lovely, amazing fact that they made Battlegrounds that changed the arena and allowed us to keep the same environment completely separate from the Battlegrounds was such a lovely idea. And I cannot wait for them to see what they're going to do with this in future seasons. I really can't. Excuse me, I had to burp. I really cannot wait to see what they do this with future seasons. I think that this is an amazing and lovely idea. And finally, that leads me on to Act 3, which the main topic of interest for this act was the Encore Exotic mission. I want to say this here and now. I have 3 things I gotta say. Number 1, this mission was a blast. Having 2 different boss fights, being the Planetary Core and the Subjugator/Tormentor boss fight, were fun. I have rarely ever gone into an exotic mission that has had multiple boss fights. Multiple different settings and sequences and maybe not bosses, but environments with a bunch of ads? Sure. But 2 separate areas where I actively had to take care of the bosses? Not at all. Not at all. And this environment is absolutely gorgeous. We are literally at the core of Nessus as we speak. And this environment is beautiful. It almost gives me Made in Abyss vibes. I hate to keep referencing Made in Abyss every time I play this game, but it's kind of just how I feel about this current moment of time. But still, this environment is beautiful. I absolutely love it. I absolutely love the fact that it continuously gives you Venus vibes. I almost said something completely different. Good God. I apologize. But this environment completely reminds me of Venus, and I love it. It is basically a blueprint, copy and paste of Venus in Destiny 2, and we might not ever get Venus back in Destiny 2. So, even though I'd prefer to get Venus back, it's nice to have something similar to it. It really is, especially since the only current recollection of Venus that we have is literally just the Vault of Glass raid. That's it. And this entire exotic mission started off as a jumping puzzle that led to boss fight, that led to jumping puzzle, that led back to another boss fight. And I love that. So yeah, first things first, the environment is beautiful. Second thing second, it is incredibly well placed, feeling both as if it's a dungeon with its puzzle theming mechanics, with its jumping puzzles, and its approachable bosses. I absolutely appreciate the pacing, the timing, and the build of it. So that's the second thing I like. The third thing that I want to talk about is the thing that I don't like, unfortunately. Even though this exotic is an absolute must-have, and I appreciate having it because it shreds through Strikes, it shreds through Gambit, it shreds through Crucible, it shreds through everything normal and slightly higher up. But if I want to bring this thing into some endgame content, Trials of Osiris maybe, not a good idea. Or, Grandmaster Nightfall, again, not a good idea. If I wanted to bring in this thing in a Gambit Supreme, not a good idea. I'm so funny. But the problem that I have with the Encore exotic mission is one key detail. The entirety of Act 3 focused on it, which I'm not mad about, but the fact of the matter is we had to go through this mission 3 separate times. Only in Act 3. That's not even including the side missions, which basically stated, hey, go back into the Encore mission and get Vex kills. Or go back into the Encore mission and get hand cannon kills, auto rifle kills, shotgun kills, whatever. This exotic mission has multiple secrets in everywhere you go. You could accidentally walk down the wrong hallway and boom, you're in a secret encounter that gives you more lore or collectibles. Or a friend for Captain Jacobson to play with. I'm not even joking. That is technically true. But the pain in the ass, the absolute monstrosity is the fact that they basically keep telling you, hey, go back into the Encore exotic mission. In Act 3 alone, you had to deal with it 3 separate times. Each time, it increased in difficulty. That was the biggest nuisance and pain in the ass of the entirety of this episode. I did not mind doing the Arena Breach executable. I did not mind doing the time trial. I did not mind doing the fucking battleground strikes. I didn't mind those at all. That was genuinely enjoyable and fun. I did not mind losing Maya Sundaresh and not acquiring the fucking relic around her neck. Okay, I kind of didn't mind that. I can make peace with it for now. But what I can make peace with is the fact that we had to do the same enjoyable content, this exotic mission that's just a one and done, because you can only get the exotic fucking once, 3 separate times, at least. And then what's the first thing they do in the epilogue? Hey, go back into the Encore exotic mission just to get more secrets. Fuck! If you couldn't tell, I had a bit of a hard time because I had to do this this exotic mission 3 times by myself. I could have asked my friends to help me out, but no, I said, nah, I can do it by myself. I want to go in blind, like a sane person would. But no, I had to do it 3 times by my goddamn lonesome. And I'll say this here and now. This mission is plausible to do by yourself. Is it a pain in the ass? Yes, it is. Abso-fucking-lutely. And with that all being said, that kind of wraps up everything I have to say about this damn episode. It really is a combination of the good, the bad, and the ugly. The good part is they got the story out and they performed it well. The content was fun and enjoyable and spectacular to play over and over and over again. I would not mind replaying those damn Battlegrounds missions. I don't mind doing the Arena Breach executable. I don't mind doing the Encore exotic mission later in the future after I get over how many times I've currently fucking done it. because I am currently on attempt number 6, not including what you're seeing in the background. This is just background footage for me to talk about as I play the game. Yes, I'm not even joking. I have done this mission 6 fucking times. And I hated it after the second attempt. This gun is so worth it. This mission is so beautiful and it's so much fun. Just don't make us repeat the same exotic mission over and over again. Because if that's how we're going to have to deal with Act 3 for the next 2 episodes, being Revenant and Heresy, I'm going to potentially lose my goddamn mind. I'll do it. I'll play it. I'll beat the act, and then I'll complain about it. But as of right now, the good, the bad, the ugly. The good, they got the story out well. The content was fun. The bad, certain things got boring, or uninteresting, or we had to do over and over again. The ugly, the things that we had to do over and over again got increasingly more difficult, leaving me to just sit there and say to myself, should I just leave? Should I just never come back to this game? Or maybe should I just take a break? Because the one last thing I want to say that I absolutely love about this is the fact of the matter that each and every act gave you 6 weeks to complete the activity before the next act was released. And even then, they didn't shove down your throat that, hey, Act 2 is here. You should be working on Act 2. Don't forget about Act 2. Hey, don't forget about Act 2. Act 2 is here. Did you forget about that? They basically said, hey, take your time with it. Enjoy the content that we're going to give you because there will be more. And above all else, have fun. The one thing that I love about the current episode and the future of Destiny 2 is the fact that they're taking their time with this. They said, hey, we know you guys have been here for the past 10 years. And if you're still here with us, thank you so much for playing the game. And by all means, keep playing the game if you want to. We're going to keep producing more content for you because we want to make more content for you. But we're going to do it in a more timely manner. Because A, money's running short, and B, we don't want to keep you guys around for another 10 years with a tight leash around your neck. We're going to give you time to be like, oh, I'm Destiny 2'd out. I'm tired of Destiny 2. I'm going to leave for a couple weeks, play something else, come back, and still feel as if I'm not running behind and enjoy myself. And I absolutely love that. They are finally giving us time to both A, enjoy the game, B, play other games, and come back and still have enough time to finish the content, finish the battle pass, and even do some secret stuff. Get some extra emblems, get some extra armor, everything. Everything. And I love that. They're finally giving us some time to both A, relax, and B, enjoy ourselves, and C, enjoy other content. So even though this was not the greatest episode, this was not the greatest DLC Bungie has ever released, they did a damn good job, and they gave me time to breathe, allowing me to actually come in almost every single session with a clear head and say, I'm not tired of this game, I'm not annoyed, I'm not irritated, I'm actually going to have a fun time. And then after I'm done playing the game, then I'll say I had a bad time, or I had a horrible day, or that boss fight was bullshit, or this gun doesn't do enough damage. Maybe it's a skill issue, maybe it's a Bungie issue. But we'll figure that out later. But until then, that's all for this time. Yeah, that's all I gotta say. This wasn't that bad of an episode, and I can't wait to see what they have lined up for more work. I really can't wait to see what else they have. But as of right now, this episode wasn't that bad. Could have been better in some bits and pieces of content. Could have been a lot worse. Was definitely annoying in certain areas. But it was genuinely a good area. Genuinely a good episode. And I would like to see what else they have, especially with the upcoming one for Revenants. I really hope we get to go back to the Tangled Shore. I would kill for that. Yeah, that's all for this time. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe for more, and I'll see you, Legend Players, in the next video. Bye-bye!